Hi, this is State Representative Antonio Parkinson, bringing you another legislative update as we do each and every week to keep you updated on everything that's happening right here on Capitol Hill at the state level from the legislators and the governor. And this is the week of, let's see, April 20. What's today's date? Today is April. Okay, this is for the week of April 28th. April 28th. So a lot of things that were happening here on the Hill, and I just want to bring you up to speed with them. First of all, one of the hot items that was happening is the municipal school districts. There was a conference committee that was put together to hash out a piece of legislation between the House and the Senate where there was a little lack of agreement on. And what that legislation did basically was it allowed the municipal school districts or the outer lying areas such as Bartlett, Collierville, Germantown, Arlington, Lakeland, Millington, and I'm leaving one out because I think, yeah, that's it, the 6 outer lying cities to begin the process of creating their own school districts. And when I say begin the process, what that means is they can now hold their referendum. Well, the vote, the agreement that from the conference committee was to allow them to hold their referendums to see if their people wanted to create school districts and wanted to pay for them because their taxes would change, and also if that referendum passed, to hold another referendum to create their school boards and so on and so forth. And that's what that conference committee spelled out. And that's the only thing it spelled out basically, is that these outerlying communities, suburban cities, can start working towards a referendum to or a vote to decide if they wanted a new school system for their cities. And that was voted unanimously, and it was sent back over to the Senate to see if the Senate would approve of the same thing. Okay. Also, then another piece of legislation came through right behind that. That was the McCormick and Norris legislation that would actually lift the ban on creation of municipal school districts for Shelby County only, and that has passed also. Okay, so that's the latest on the municipal school districts. And right now it appears that if there's a city or a suburban city outside of the city of Memphis and they want to create their own school districts, with that legislation being passed, they can now do that. One of the other important pieces of legislation that passed this week, and it was an interesting piece of legislation to say the least, also made it so that it actually prohibits legislators or any public official, as a matter of fact, any public official in the state of Tennessee, and that can be a legislator, mayors, people that work in state government, people that work in city government, a public servant, that's what it's defined as. It prohibits them from insider trading. And what is meant by that is that if you know of, let's say for instance, if you know of some property that the city is going to purchase or the state is going to purchase and develop, and you go out and buy some property because you got that inside information before the public has noticed that the city or state is going to purchase that property, then that's considered inside trading. And that will, if it passes in the Senate, will now be against the law once the governor signs that into law in the state of Tennessee. Now I created an amendment to amend that legislation to also cover the purchasing of stocks and bonds from companies that are contracting with the state of Tennessee also. So that legislation, the insider trading legislation, is one that passed in the House also this week. We also passed the budget, the governor's budget, and one of the things that stood out to me that was interesting about the budget is that there was $107 million in additional collected revenue that was not put into the budget. And you know, there was some places where we could make good use of that money. Now that money, from what I understand, has to come back before the legislature next year to be decided on what, you know, will be done with that money. But they did not include that money inside the budget. The budget was very, very conservative. There wasn't a lot for it. There wasn't hardly any pet projects or projects that would affect the local areas. They denied most or voted down rather most of I would say almost 100% of the appropriations that I know that the Democrats were putting in for anyway. And that was a big issue for us as Democrats. Also, one of the issues that came up in the budget also was, I think, that Stax Museum was taken out of the budget, and that support for Stax Museum is needed. And so it was a very, very tight and very conservative budget. And but it, of course, it has passed in the House, and I'm not sure where it is in the Senate at this point, but I think it's going to pass in the Senate as well. One of the other things, and if you hadn't had a chance, make sure you look at the video that's just below this video on our website to see that we are out here fighting for Tennesseans first, making sure that Tennesseans, we wanted to make sure that Tennesseans had the an upper hand or priority in contracting with the state, and also in being hired by the state. And for whatever the reason is, our Republican colleagues voted that down as well. But we'll fight another day to see if we can get that back into law in the state of Tennessee. One of the other things, the other hot items that was on the House floor this week, or well, in committee this week, was the guns in parking lots bill, or the safe commute legislation, which would have allowed individuals to have their guns in the parking lots of their places of employment. Now, there were a lot of businesses that were vehemently opposed to this legislation. The airport was opposed to this legislation. I tried to put an amendment on it to exclude the airports out of this legislation, and also to make it so that this legislation was specifically geared towards those that were handgun permit carriers. Needless to say, the legislation was sent to summer study, and that bill that you're hearing in the background means it's time for us to go to the House floor for our legislative session. But needless to say, the bill was sent to summer study, which means it won't be able to probably come back until next year. However, it has been rumored that the bill sponsor is going to try to bring the bill back up on the House floor, and I think it takes a 2/3 vote for that bill to be accepted on the House floor. So we'll see what's going to happen with that guns in parking lots, or the safe commute legislation. A couple final things. The tattooing legislation has passed in both the House and the Senate, and that tattooing legislation basically prohibits anyone from possessing tattooing paraphernalia if they are not a licensed tattoo artist. And we feel that this legislation will cut back on those illegal tattoo houses that tattoo minors and so on and so forth, and they're unregulated. We don't know if they are passing diseases, or if they're making sure that they're using clean needles, and so on. There's a whole plethora of issues that come along with illegal tattoo houses. So that bill has passed. So we're just waiting on the governor to sign it, and that will become law. And we're excited about that, because we want our minors, when they get past the age of 14 and 15, get to the age of 18, not to have anything that would hinder them or keep them out of the workforce, such as a tattoo on their neck from a decision that they made when they were very, very young. So we're looking forward to that. Don't forget, network to network business mixer. If you missed the last one with Ted Turner, it was a wonderful event, great turnout, but the next one is going to be just as good. We have Al Bright as our special guest, who is the chairman of the board for the EDGE, the new EDGE board that was created by both Memphis and Shelby County governments. And EDGE stands for Economic Development Growth Engine. Economic Development, EDGE, Economic Development Growth Engine. And so there's a lot of resources, and we want to get to know Al Bright and know what he's doing, and see how we can all help and pitch in and create more businesses for our community. Very important. So make sure you show up May 17th at El Patio Mexican Grill. May 17th, El Patio Mexican Grill, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, May 17th. Thursday, May 17th. We want to see you there. Don't forget also, the Block Party for Peace is happening May 25th through the 28th at Kmart 3201 Austin P. And if you want more information about that, www.blockpartyforpeace.com. And vendors are welcome, and sponsors are welcome. It's a big event, the biggest event, in fact, Memorial Weekend in the city. So don't forget, that's coming up. Also, follow us on Twitter at tnrepparkinson.com. tnrepparkinson.com. That's us on Twitter. You can get us on Facebook. It's State Representative Antonio Parkinson on Facebook. And don't forget our email. Email us at info@tnrepparkinson.com. All one word. info@tnrepparkinson.com. And finally, visit our website so you can see what else is going on. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of news stories. Visit our website at www.tnrepparkinson.com. Again, that's www.tnrepparkinson.com. And finally, if you need to call me direct, 615-741-4575. 615-741-4575. And my local number is 901-209-5010. 901-209-5010. And again, excited to bring this information to you. Make sure you get in touch with us. Email us. Get on our email list. Just simply send me an email at that email address that I gave you, and we'll put you on our email list so you can get all of this information that's coming out. A lot of things going on that will definitely have an effect on you from the state level, and we want to keep you informed. All right. Thank you again. We look forward to seeing you. We'll see you next week with our next legislative update.